Hey, hello, and you're live now. So I see you there, and you see me. How is everything? So if you can go in the chat and you can tell me if you can see me, if everything's fine, if you can hear me well, if everything is good. So we're gonna have an open conversation here. I have a good friend that's gonna be here with me today. I'm gonna introduce him in a minute, just to make sure that you can hear us. Let me see if I can see the chat. So I wanna make this very, very interactive, so you can say hello on the chat below, wherever you're watching this, right? It could be LinkedIn, it could be YouTube, it could be Twitter, right? Wherever you are, most of those places we're gonna be able to see the chat, so you can say hello, and then we're gonna get started here, right? So today I'm launching a new initiative with a good friend of mine. So let me bring him here. He is a Java champion. Oh, hey, Douglas. Douglas is there. Okay, so it looks like it's working, right? So Andrews, hey, Andrews, how you doing? That's awesome. So let me just say hello to the Java champion. He is a committer in several open source projects. He is one of the organizers of the London Java community and a specialist on artificial intelligence. With you guys, Money Sarkar. Hey, Money, how you doing?
Hello. Hey, Bruno. Good to be here again, once again. Start of the new year and on Bruno's channel. Great.
That's great,
Okay,
man.
you
That's
just
great.
disappeared for a second, Bruno.
That's
Hey,
awesome.
we have quite a few guests who've joined us. We were wondering if that was going to happen, and look, we have already 3 people in here. So
Yes.
great. Yeah. Okay. Coming back to introduction about me. Yeah. Thank you very much, Bruno, for having me here. And I would love to continue with our conversation we were having via email. If you remember, one of your newsletters, it was early this year, I think, late last year. You sent about artificial intelligence and how you're getting all kinds of questions from developers. And then you also replied with a couple of email series with the same topic, and then you had a few of us right back to you. So I think it's a great idea to start that. What do you think? To continue with that rather. And I have some links and resources that I could also share about my own journey. I've been on this track for several years, but the last 10 years, maybe about 12 years, is a little bit more prominent of the 20 years that I've been in this field. And you mentioned earlier about London Java community, so I want to share something here which I don't know if you've seen on my Twitter, but I would like to share this with everybody.
Okay, so share your screen. So let me just say hello to Marcelo Rabelo, Marcelo Machado. So good to see you guys here. So awesome. So guys, we're gonna make this a very, very oh, you're gonna share the link or you're gonna share the
Yeah,
screen?
well, I will share the screen as well because I will open up that link immediately.
Okay.
And screen sharing shouldn't be hard here, I think. It says screen share. Yes, perfect. I'm going to take this screen to the next screen.
All right, so I just
Okay.
sent the link to everyone. So guys, we're gonna make this here a open conversation, right? So the idea is that we're launching before Money shows here what he has to show. We're launching today this new. It's gonna be a conversation between me, Manny, and people that we can invite. We're gonna I see Ton from Belgium. So hey Ton, how you doing this? How you
Hey,
doing there?
Tom. Hello.
So we're gonna have this open conversations about being a out of the box developer, right? So we want you to be an out of the box developer, to be out of your comfort zone, to be thinking about the next steps of your career. And so we're gonna start this conversation. We're gonna do probably twice a month, right? And I'm just gonna be announcing in the list, like you guys received the email today. We also gonna announce in social media. So I see the guys from the Javas group, Pernambuco. So hey, Jug P. I think that's yes, that's the one, right? So good to see you guys here. So basically, we're gonna make this an open conversation. If you have anything about your career, any problem that you're going through, any difficulty you have, technology that you want us to discuss and cover, you can bring any of your questions, any of your comments, right? If there are guests that you want to have that you want us to go after, so we can bring here, we're gonna do whatever it works to get you out of your comfort zone and becoming an out of the box developer. We're gonna discuss more about this a little later. So, Money, you said you're gonna show something about the the London
Yes.
Java community, right?
So if you see
Yeah.
my screen share, in fact, I've shared the tweet as well. I've actually corrected the tweet. It should be the other one that I shared. And if you look at the tweet, it is. Remember, I just mentioned earlier we're going to talk about my journey as a developer. So I mean, I started working and coding like since 2000, even before 2000, or year 2000. But about 12 years ago, I joined the London Java community,
Mhm.
and that's when I actually also created my GitHub account. You won't believe it, like just around that time. And
Cool.
I was encouraged by the London Java community members, who were all super developers and massive open source collaborators, to do this thing. GitHub account, collaborate with the with open source developers, contribute to open source, contribute to Java, contribute to OpenJDK, and all the other projects that came out of it from then on. And
Mhm.
and guess what? Uh, I think it's a project from GitHub called Metrics. And when you put in your GitHub handle into this link, metrics.lecoq.io, we can share that link as well in
Mhm.
the channel, so everybody else has it. And it's on the tweet as well. So if you go and put in your GitHub handle, I put in mine, and this is what it gives me. It tells me in the 10 years or 9 years, actually, literally, that I have had GitHub, this is what it's given me. I'm a master maintainer, great inspirer, master developer, great influencer. Now, actually, I'm kind of blowing my trumpet here, but I'm actually not doing it. It's them who's doing it. And this is the analysis of the 9 years of Git commits. And of course, my favorite project, Graal VM, has been the most noted contributions.
Mhm.
And you can see how I am part of all the other things. Master polyglot, because I've programmed in 16 programming languages. I don't know if I did so many, but it says I've got 66 JITs, so I'm a super gister. And the list goes on. Then it gives me statistics of the languages I've used in the last 9 years. And it's things. HTML is a language. GraphViz, all the ones you don't think of. I mean, the most notable one is Java, but it's somehow Jupyter Notebook, because of the size of the files, it's taking up more space. So statistically, I've done more Jupyter Notebooks than Java, but I think Java stands out. And then it's Python and the other languages. And then, of course, all the other statistics that you want to know, and the most recent activities as well. So, I mean, the most important bit is they highlight that 9 years of continuous working with the open source community, with open source developers, with Java community members, with London Java community members, and I can go on with the list of people that has been involved, has resulted in this. And if you see, again, I'm trying to blow my trumpet here. The ranking is quite high, because if you see the first one, 1,484 out of 278 million repositories, right?
Right.
That is not like, it's not 1 million, it's
Mhm.
1,400. Then similarly with the repositories, the Great Inspire, it's 29,783. Now this keeps dropping every time for me, because I'm not as active as I used to be. Also the master developers, of the 84 million users, we are among the 44,184 84th user. I mean, I'm saying we, but in this case, it's me. But it's actually not just me alone, right? It's a group
Mhm.
activity, but
Right.
I get the credits for it as well. And then the great influencer, again, 11,199 out of the 84 million. The point here is, it's not about me. Cancel this whole thing, right? Let's say it's not me. Each one of us look at it and see we can all get here and even further, right?
Yes.
All we got to do is what we started doing, and we keep doing it and keep doing it year after year. And after a certain amount of time, somebody will produce these statistics about you, right? I
Right.
was just surprised to see that somebody sent me this and said, hey, you're a great community member. I said, yeah, like, okay, fine. I mean, I don't know why you're saying this, but he says, no, look at this link. And I said, wow, this is amazing. And so imagine putting in your own GitHub handle. I'm sure you're doing better than me, because I'm not as active as I used to be, but I will go get back to it. But this is what I wanted to share as part of my journey. And to that, I wanted to give credits to the London Java community and its members, especially, there's a gentleman called Barry. He runs this community efforts. He's been doing
Mhm.
tirelessly for the last 12 years or more. You might even know him, Bruno. I think with many activities, you've probably interacted with him. And so I actually put this out, and I made sure that I thanked him. If you see in the reply below here, I said, thanks, Barry, and the members for encouraging us, because he has been constantly pushing these projects, constantly encouraging us, constantly mentioning that you got to have a GitHub profile because it helps your resume. And look at what it does to the resume. Imagine you have something like this on your resume. Of course, this is dark mode, but something like this on your resume. I mean, if among the million you're like 1,000, they'll want to hire you, right? They want to
Right.
have you on board immediately. So and Java community members can do it because we are so active in all these projects. So yeah, that was where we also I also want to add to what we wanted to do with this out of the box developer. How do you become an out of the box developer? You do something like this continuously for a long time. So yeah, I think I rattled a lot on that one thing. So Bruno,
That's
I'll give it over
that's
to you.
that's great. That's great, Manny. I think that's so. Tom was saying here that the guys from the London Java community are awesome, are great, right? So thanks a lot, Tom. I totally agree with that. The London Java community is totally amazing.
Yeah, he says
Ronnie
Barry is
says
great.
Barry is great, right? Encourage new speakers and
Exactly.
to step up and try as a first talk, right?
Exactly.
Definitely reach out for him, right? So yes, awesome.
Yeah. So
Uh,
yeah, so it was not just the GitHub repository. Like Barry goes all the way. He would encourage us to go do presentations, and not just in the London events. I would fly to Sofia. I would fly to Germany. I would fly to Belgium. I would fly to various parts of Europe. And even in the UK itself, like go to Bristol, and we would present. We would run workshops. We developed these skills because someone from the community member kept pushing us. Like someone from the Java community kept pushing us to do it. And not just Barry, all the other top leaders. There's about 12 or 20 or 15 of them in the panel of the LJC. Each one of them have been instrumental in pushing the remaining 5,000 members. And of course, not everybody picked up, but the 50 to 100 people who picked up, they would go and become speakers, authors, writers of books, committers on open source community. And that's how you become out of the box developer, right? Don't do something that everybody else does. It's only a few people who do the unique things that pushes us further and makes our profiles bigger and better. So
that's
so
right.
this is a segue from our out of the box conversation, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So Barry says one thing that I think is very important. He says that sorry, not Barry, Tom. Tom says
Mm.
something very important. He says it's a safe environment to get out of the box, right? So so that's totally right, Tom. When you join the community, when you join a user group, it's a great place for you to experiment, right? Because you're there with other developers, with people that you know. If you come, a lot of people just want to come to a user group meeting when they're a speaker, for example, right? But then when you get there, you don't know anyone because you're just coming as a speaker. So if you come into user group, you participate, you talk with people, you meet people, you see who they are there, right? So even if you come here to an online event like this, right, and you see other people. So I see. Let me just say hello to Nikita. Nikita saying hello. Muktash is saying hello, right? So Tom is recruiting, right? So organizing Antwerp Java group. Would love to have you there at some point, right? All of you as guests or speakers. So Tom, yeah. So no, everyone, you should go to the Antwerp Java group. Please recruit, right? And so that's all great. I start to see some questions here. Nikita's asking a question. Before I go to the questions, Money, I have one comment here from Marcelo. Marcelo,
Sure.
Monday, it will be my first day as a developer. I want to start as out of the box thinking in mind, right? So
Very
let's
good. Very good.
let's help Marcelo out here, man. Money, how
Yeah.
are you? How do you think out of the box? How do you become an out of the box developer? That's what we're going to be doing here for several months, for several weeks now. But
Sure.
how we start.
So I will tell you what my inspiration is, where my inspiration comes from. So I'm going to share something that I was talking to you about, Bruno, long ago. It is the concept of biomimicry, and there's this tweet that I will share along with the conference talk. And if you can share it with the rest of the audience, that'll be awesome. But I will also give a little bit of a of a summary of what I mean by how do you become, or give some hints on how to become an out of the box developer. So, first of all, if you read the tweet and watch the videos, or not just you, but everybody, you will see that in order to become something out of extraordinary or different, you cannot do what everything or everybody does in the mainstream. You got to do things that people don't do in the mainstream, and we have long forgotten to look into things that are outside the mainstream, like things that are happening in nature, and how things how certain things sit together, how nature functions, how things are around us happen in a routine fashion. How there's a whole list of things we can start with, and we've actually lost touch with nature, and nature is the best technology. Like if you look at the tweet, and I can actually open this up here real quickly, so that everybody else can see it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead. Just
there you
explain
go.
it.
So one of the tweets that I shared was this: think
Mhm.
outside the box. So people are clever, nature is ingenious. Maybe it's time to work together. So when we do things like this, we are not making a distinction between this and that. We are working, trying to work together, and all this while we were only looking at people as our resources, but forgotten nature that has been around us. And so that's one of the concepts and ideas of thinking out of the box, right? And this is a totally non-technical stream. If you look at it, it's not like we are talking about technology or things related to what we do on a day-to-day developer's life. Now there's another idea here. If you watch the talk, there are two important things that stood out for me. So this it says the earth is the best database, because no matter what your product you're designing, nature has always been the best database. There is more in the world to be discovered than there is to be invented. Okay, that's from Franco Lodato. And here it is. Which department in the world, or which company in the world has a department that has got 4 billion years of R&D experience? Anybody out there? Maybe not even in this galaxy, right? This is what we are actually missing out. And when you go through there's a 3-minute video that has been posted on that tweet. And we can actually watch a very quick snapshot of the 3-minute video, because there's pretty much correlation between technology and nature.
Okay, that's.
Are you able to hear the audio? Or
Oh no, we're not able to hear the audio. Oh, you're trying to play an audio? No. Yes, you should have.
okay, so
Yeah.
there are some I mean, each of the people can actually watch the video on their own, but there are some correlations between, for example, let's see 3D printer has been compared to different aspects of nature. Then Okay, well, actually, I've lost the slide which actually shows how research with robots have been also correlated uh, to different evolutions in nature. Anyways, the point is, if we watch this video on your own, you will get to an idea of what I'm talking about, is how where we are just now, and how we have hit the limits of what we are doing, and we now need to start thinking differently, not do what we're doing in mainstream, right? Because once you plateau, then it's really the time to understand that you got to step back and watch and see what have you been doing and what have you not been doing. And ideas like this, for me, inspires me to start thinking, like, how does the bee or the ant colony organize themselves? They have strict order, and there is no chaos, and everybody knows everything, and they work in a collective fashion. There is this thing called uh, uh, emergence, that an intelligence that comes out of collective activity. And with that, Bruno, I'm glad you brought me to this. I have 2 books I want to recommend, because that's part of what I want to do in these shows. I want to recommend books at every time we talk. Some days I will have recommendations, some days not. But I'm going to recommend 2 books here, and I'm going to share the links of both the books here. One of them is called emergence, which is where the concept of collective intelligence comes in, right? Like a slime mold can break and disintegrate into smaller pieces, and each of the pieces is a unit entity, but they can also get together and become one entity and work together. And similarly, how you have ants and bees, they act collectively, and they all know what's happening each other. Think about this as cloud technology, right? You have containers, you have distributed computing. uh, in today's time, we have orchestrators that are managing all of this, right? But there is still a lot of chaos and a lot of failures. I mean, that does not happen in the world of how things happen in nature. So this book is a great book. It's not about technology, but it actually tells you how human technology or technology in nature is far more efficient and superior and energy saving than the ones we are trying to build. So there's one more book I want to share here, and it's called Art of Innovation, and that is also a great book to read. And this is what these, when you do things like this, and you are saying, how do you become an out of the box developer? You become an out of the box developer by not doing what every developer is doing, reading technology books. Like I can't remember what's his name, the last time you had him here, Raphael, I think. He
Mhm.
was telling us how he's reading non-technical books in his free time to expand his horizons, right? So when we read books like this, it opens up our doorways to into different kind of thinking, right? Because we are used to reading technical books. You can see my bookshelf full of technology books, but I also have non-technical books that I read, and then it's these books. So there are some non-technical books in the bookshelf, but this is the kind of thinking that's going to help us think out of the box. So this is what I wanted to also share as part of this out of the box series that we're going to have.
That's awesome. So yeah, so now we got to have a session to talk about books, right? So we'll do this every meeting. Then we talk about books. So hi, Caio. Just say hello to Caio. That's saying hello there. I see some other people saying hello, right? So one thing we want, guys, is make sure. So Fernando is from Osasco. So hello, Fernando. I saw someone else saying hello. Khalid is from Morocco. So hey, Khalid, how are you doing? So good to have you all here. All right. So there's a couple of questions already there that we're going to start answering. But let me first ask everyone here a question, right? So one thing that we want to do is that we want to help you think out of the box and challenge yourself in your career. So I want you to go into chat right now and tell us what is the biggest challenge that you're facing in your career right now, right? So what is the biggest difficulty, biggest problem, biggest question that you have that you're facing in your career right now? Tell us in the chat, right? Be detailed and specific so it can actually help you. We can comment on, we can discuss that. So feel free to go in the chat and comment on those things. Let me just tell you, if you're watching this on LinkedIn or watching this on on YouTube, right? We probably can see your chat. If you're watching this on Twitter, maybe you have to come to either YouTube or LinkedIn for to see the chat, right? Okay. So all right. So let me start with let's start with some of the questions here, right? So I think that Nikita has a very, very good question that I get all the time. So Money, I did send an email earlier today to my list talking about since you mentioned books, right? So talking about a very specific book that I like a lot. It's a non-technical book that's called Give and Take, right? It's a book probably about how we can there's three specific types of relationship or interactions. There are the takers, that those are the people that want to receive more than they give. Then of course there's the giver on the other side, that they like to give more than they receive. And then there's the matchers, right? That's we try to kind of do a quid pro quo kind of thing, that we match the relationship, right? And so that's a very, very, very interesting book, because it shows how the givers, right, the participating communities that are getting involved with, then that they're doing things, how they can bubble up to the top, right? And and they also talk about the givers that don't do those kind of things, right? And they end up in the bottom of the organization. So I think that we're in a very, very good, important moment, because networking and open source are awesome ways for us to be givers inside, inside our area, right? So software development and everything. And so with that, Nikita asks, how do you find an open source projects that you can help, right? So, what do you say, Manny? You're a consultant. You're working open source. You're showing all your open source contributions there. So, how do you find a project to contribute, to participate, to get involved?
So there's various ways to do that, right? I mean, GitHub is a great search engine, but the point here is, what is the definition of a great project? It's subjective, right? What I find great, Bruno may not, and what Bruno finds great, I may or may not, and vice versa, and everybody. So you need to first figure out what is the meaning of great for you. right?
Mhm.
You know, is it great because everybody's committing to it? Is it great because it's been forked 50 million times? Is it great because it's got a lot of stars? Is it great because it brings you value? Or is it great because it's niche and that very few people are doing and it's going to become the next thing, right? So you got to figure the definition of great for yourself first, right? I mean, it could be also great because it gives you joy, because I contribute to all the great projects because it gives me joy. Every time I see something and it resonates with me, I contribute to it. It gives me joy. For me, that's a great project. So if you go to my GitHub repository, you will see I've forked 200 and 300 repositories because I find some value in each one of them. And I've also created 50 of my own, right? So for me, those are all great projects because they came from at a moment when I saw it. It gave me pleasure. It because it resonated with a value, a technical value or a non-technical value, or a combination of a technical or a non-technical value, right? For example, you are great with JSRs in the time when adopted JSR was being promoted, Bruno, if you remember, and
Mhm.
then you
Yep.
promote you and the community in Brazil and the community in London and many other communities of the world got together and contributed to the money JSR and the date and time JSRs and many other JSRs in that time, right? So all the repositories and all the projects that were connected to them, they were great for us at that time because we were contributing to those projects, and it was hot. It was giving us the it was giving us the adrenaline rush. They were the great projects, and everybody who contributed to those projects, we said these are great developers because they're contributing to great projects. So
Mhm.
that's my long-winded answer to this very short question. What is a great project? And once you find that, once you find pleasure in what you're doing, that project will become great project. It'll get all the stars and all the forks and all the commits you need.
Right. So actually, I want to compliment of that because in the book, give and take. Someone asked what the name of the book is. It what Give and Take by Adam Grant. Adam talks about two types of givers, right? What they call the otherish givers and the selfless giver. So the selfless giver, the big difference between those two is that the selfless givers is the both are givers, right? So both want to give more than they receive. So they think more of others, right? And so, but the selfless givers is the one that only think about others, right? And because of that, they eventually get tired. They end up not doing their own work, right? So they end up going to the bottom of the organization. But the other type of giver is what Adam Grant calls the otherish givers, right? The givers that they also think about themselves, right? So both think about others. The selfless givers only think about others, and the otherish givers, they also think about themselves, right? So when you're talking about an open source project, Nikita, and you want to be an otherish giver, right? That's the otherish givers are the ones that never get tired because they get results, right? They think things happen for them. So what happens is that they grow up and they reach the top of their organizations. And so if you want to be an others giver in terms of open source, when you look at a project, instead of you looking for projects that need help, right? Look for projects that are important for you. That's what Manny is talking about, right? So it's what's great is different for every person, right? So look at things that are important for you. So look at things that maybe project you're using or project that facilitate your life or that you are interested in, right? Or that things that you love to do. Let's say you're a developer, but you also love to play music, right? There's lots of open source projects around music,
Yep.
So find something that really interests you and start from that, right? Because then
Exactly.
every time you
Exactly.
contribute, you see the results. You feel
Exactly.
good about contributing instead of you feel like, oh, I'm just here wasting my time. I'm working
Yeah.
for someone else, right? Every time
Yeah.
you start thinking about, oh, I'm doing this for someone else and they're benefiting, not me, then you're being a selfless giver. And then you're
Hmm.
getting tired, you get resentful, you want to stop.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
if you do things that you want, right? If you do things that you love, then every time you contribute, you're going to be saying, yes, that's what I want to do. I'm loving it. That's great. And then you benefit a lot from it, right?
Exactly. So what you said, Bruno, the last bit you said, when you do all of those things, you're actually nourishing your soul. You're nourishing your the other aspects of you that you don't realize when
Mm-hmm.
you're giving. That gets drained out, and then when you do that, then you replenish yourself. You charge up yourself. I mean, one good way I can recommend is go to my GitHub repository. I just showed on the screen here. and there are 156 repositories, and there are a lot of repositories from other people. Go through those repositories and find out which one you like and
Mhm.
start working on them, right? Hopefully they will give you inspiration. And there are 66 gists. Go through all of them and see which one you like, and you fork the gist and modify it and share it back, you know. And when you hopefully what I'm showing you will give you inspiration. It does not need to be that you have to go there and do it. It is just a hint or a guideline. Use the link as a guideline and not as must do. So because I got my inspiration by going to a lot of other repositories, like doing a lot of stuff that Bruno was doing and a lot of other LJC members were doing, and then I branched out into even more stuff that other people are doing, and
Mhm.
eventually I have 156 repositories, right?
Right.
So of which, like, there are 30 of them that are mine, the 126 are other people's. And so if I could get inspiration from so many sources, go to my repository and try to find out how you can get inspiration for your repositories, your open source projects that you want to contribute to.
That's awesome, right? That's awesome. So Nikita says here, I have overcommitted helping people. So yes, Nikita. So that is the problem of you being what we call selfless giver, right? So that you overcommit, you do a lot of things for other people, but you don't see the results for yourself, right? So it's very, very important that you start thinking about what do you want to do, what are the results for you, right? You still think about others, you still want to help others, all of that, but you think about what are the things that you want to do that are important for you. So there's a
Absolutely,
comment
absolutely.
here from Douglas, right? Douglas says, there's a very important point. He's talking about the books, right? Very important points. His library is full of non-technical books, and that's very, very important, guys. We developers, we tend to think about only reading technical books and only focus on technology, but there's a lot of more things out there, right? There's a lot of more ideas, and sometimes those ideas can really, really change our lives, right? So that's I don't want to go into the rabbit hole of talking about too many books here, Manny. But I think that one thing we could do is we have like a specific session every time that we talk about books, right? And we talk about technical books or
Yeah.
non-technical books, whatever book we're gonna bring, right? So let's make like a feature here of this conversation to always have the books that we suggest, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Hence, I thought of recommending a couple of books. Next time, I'll recommend two other books. They may be technical, may not be technical, and then so on and so forth, instead of having the whole session about books, right?
awesome, that's great. All right, so so let's say Glayton makes a comment here that we developers today are kind of masters of everything, right?
Yeah, jack of all trade, masters of everything, right? But actually, masters
Well,
of none.
yeah, you know what, Money? I think a lot of developers have this idea, right? That they have to be masters of everything. But are we really, right? We live in a society that's very, very specialized, right? Because we're software developers, we're very, 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 very specialized, aren't we? You're talking about that you need to know a lot of things because you're a developer, and I agree with that, right? But there's so many other things that you don't know, right?
Exactly.
So I mean, you don't know you probably don't know anything about medicine or law, right? You hire people to do those things. Probably you don't know anything about marketing or sales, right? You might have some ideas and some concepts, but you probably don't have to go deep on any of those things, right? I'm sure you're there. The whole pandemic has been a terrible moment for all of us, but as developers, we are able to sit down in our computers and just kind of call and get food delivered to our house. We didn't have to worry about how this whole structure works and how this whole thing works. Actually, most developers don't even know how their computers work, right? They know how to do software and they know the frameworks and they know all kinds of things, but they don't actually understand how the process of the microchip and everything like this works, right? So I understand, Glayton, that we feel like we have to know everything, but when we see how many things we don't know, right? I think we can feel confident that yes, it is our responsibility to be very, very good at what we're good at, right? And keep going deeper and understanding more software development. But don't worry about being a specialist, Glayton, because you already are, right? You already
Yeah.
are an amazing specialist, so you can be very specialized.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to add to this is that firstly, every moment, every second, we are getting outdated, right? I mean, you're saying we don't know about the internals of our computers. Why? Because every month there's a new motherboard, a new memory chip, a new CPU processor with more complex architecture. Like, and I have now forgotten what cores are, and how we have run out of transistors, and that now memory has become cheaper, and hard drives have become flash drives. I mean, how are we going to keep track of all of this, right? On top of that, the software development advancements, right? Like operating systems. Today you can run Linux kernels inside Windows, which we could never think of doing, right? And so, and hence, we need to stop thinking of trying to know everything. When people tell me this, I remember this one thing that we should understand is how to use the Pareto principle of 80-20. If you know, Bruno, the 80-20 principle.
Yes,
Okay. Yeah.
the
You
Pareto
just need to
principle.
know 20% of something on 80%, and only 80% of the
Yes,
people, and
the
most of the 80% of people only know 20%.
yeah, no, the Pareto principle says that 80% you can get 80% of the result with 20% of the effort, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you said it better than I was going to say. But
Yes.
even in terms of knowledge, like knowing 20% of something very well is good enough, because 80% of the people may not even know the 20% that you may know, right?
Yeah,
If you know it well enough.
knowing 20% of this of something will get 80% of the result, right? And so if
Exactly.
you
That
want to
as
go
well.
forward in that, you can do that, but but the last 20% is going to take 80% of the effort, right?
Exactly. It'll take, yeah, the last 20%. To cover the last 20%, you're going to take 80% of the time, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So let me just kind of tell you, I'm money. I'm gonna go off the script here a little bit because a
Oh,
good
that's
friend of
fine.
mine,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, a
Be
good
my guest.
because we don't have a script, so I can't go off the script, right? So,
I mean, we've covered everything in the script, except you haven't spoken a bit about yourself. But it's up to you.
right.
Tell us
Well,
about your journey. But continue with what you want to do, and
that's
then you can do
so
do
so
do.
so, so let me talk a little bit about my journey here then, right?
Sure.
Because there's a question from a good friend of mine, Bazlur Rahman here, that says what happened to my hair, right? So you know and I want to mention that because there's another guy here, Nikita, right? Nikita talk about he started with the why, right? So it's all about doing the purpose. And one thing I want to tell you guys, that just a very quick story, right? So a few days ago, I was, money, you don't believe me this, man, money, I was in an amazing day. It was very hot here in Brazil. It was beautiful day. So I had I had lots of great things going on for me the whole day. I was very happy. So I went down to the pool here in my house, and I called my partner and I told him, I said, look, man, I know we have a meeting right now, but it's very hot. I'm just gonna do the meeting here from the pool. And he said, yeah, Bruno, don't worry, man. It's great that they're enjoying. So right in the middle of the week, right in the middle of the day, I was having a lot, I was thinking, man, me and him, we had a discussion and we planned a lot of cool stuff that we're gonna do together. And I was like, man, it was awesome, very happy. So I hang up the phone and I'm getting ready to get out of the pool. I'm just kind of walking on the side of it, getting ready to get out of the pool. And then, money, by that moment, it start raining. And at that moment, a huge tree here in my house, right, fell right on top of
Oh
the
my God.
pool.
Oh my
Right
God.
on top, right? So my pool has a glass ceiling, right? So this huge tree fell right on top, exactly where I was. I got, a shower of glass on top of me. I got all my back cut. And that's why my hair is really cut, Baslur, because now I have like a big scar in my head, right? I just took the stitches yesterday. I went to the hospital yesterday to take the stitches out. And really, if the structure of the pool hadn't holds, I would not be
The,
here with you guys today, right?
yeah.
The
Yeah. The
tree
tree
fell
would be on your head.
right on top of me, right? You can
Sure.
see I'm not going to show pictures right now, but you can see the structure, exactly where the structure bended the most. I was right under it, right? So, and I'm probably going to be, Basru, I'm probably going to be like this for the rest of my life, because, where this scar is probably not gonna have a lot more hair there, right? So it was already little, right? So it's not gonna have any more. But the one thing I want to say with all of these, Manny, is that the reality is, man, when something like this happens, right? There is one question, actually, just to finish the story, by the end of that day, right? I ended the day in the IC. I lost a lot of blood. I got, there's no lights. The lights went off. I lost a lot of blood. It took more than an hour for people to be able to rescue me, and I ended that day in the intensive care unit in the hospital, right? And I spent 2 days in the hospital and all that. So it was kind of very, very scary moment. But when you're there, laying down in the beds in the intensive care units of the hospital, knowing that just a few hours before you had an amazing day, everything was great, everything was awesome, right? And then you can't not, there's no way that you can run from the thinking about, why am I here, right? Not why I'm here in the hospital, right? I know I'm in the hospital because the tree fell on top of my head, but am I doing the right things, right? And am I the time I'm spending at work, am I working the right projects?
Right.
The time I'm spending with people, am I doing the right things, right?
Yep.
Am I living my purpose, right? So that is the thing that I think
Exactly.
we have to that's the thing that inspired me. You talk about so Mohammed says, good to see you safe and healthy. Thanks a lot, Mohammed. So
Hello, Mohammed.
yeah, so basically, the one thing that inspired us to be here with you guys, right? So Money asking me about my journey, right? So once that happened, that's why we're here, right? Because we want to help you find your reasons, find the good things for you. Start thinking outside of the box. So if something like this happens, or even something lighter, right? Maybe you get sick someday, or you get fired from your job, or whatever happens with you, that you're doing the right things, right? That you're walking the right path. That you're going where you really want to go, right? So
Yeah.
so that's why we're doing this, right? So thanks everyone here for being on this journey with us. Nikita says that's called the battle scars, right? Yes, you're right, Nikita. Thanks a
Battle
lot.
scars. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
I mean, events like this shake you up, and then you realize the value of life, the value of time, the purpose you're here for. How are you using your life purposefully? And are you being the giver that also nourishes themselves, right? Not just gives and then feels drained out.
yeah, exactly. So Nikita says probably this glass ceiling. Yes, Nikita, it totally did, right? So one day I'm gonna bring a picture for you guys to see. Yes, it 100% did save my life. Because if it was not, the tree would have fall exactly on top of my head, right? So it was really, really scary. But yeah, no, I'm all fine, Baslur. Yes, I'm all good, right? I took this teaching yesterday. Everything's great, right? The only thing that's never gonna recover is my hair, I think, right? So
that's not a problem. There's a solution for that, Bruno. You could start wearing something like this, a
yes,
hoodie, right? I mean, you could also wear a hoodie that looks like a lot of nice hair if you want to, but it's up to you. But you could start off by wearing hoodie like this. Developers wear them all the time, so
right.
that's
Yeah,
another option.
I've got one that was a gift from the guys from Java Zone, right? No, not Java Zone. I think it was the event. No, the
J
event.
Point probably. J
No,
Point. They
no,
give out nice hoodies.
no. The event. The event in Oslo, in Stockholm. Stockholm. Which
Uh-huh.
one is this? It's not Java Zone. It's yeah, maybe it's Java Zone, right? So they have.
I thought it was Java. I thought it was J Point. No.
No, it's not. So
Okay, I'm
they
getting it
have
wrong.
a cap like this with a big J in front, right? So that's a nice one that I like. Okay. All right. So, Mohammed, go ahead. Ask your questions here. We're answering other questions here. So, Money, I think we gotta get to the questions. Otherwise, we're
Oh,
gonna.
yeah, sure, definitely. Yeah, please shoot your questions.
So, uh, Nikita says, I'm an inefficient, outdated developer who does not understand how our business flows work. Right. So, Money, what can you tell Nikita? Right, Nikita is really put here like a kind of desperation message. I'm outdated, inefficient developer. So how can we overcome that?
So I think there's no such thing as outdated and inefficient, but there's think about it like this, right? 5 years ago, how did you do? 10 years ago, how did you do? 15 years ago, how did you do? So on and so forth, and stop at a point when you really started your journey, right? Compare yourself from then to the 5 years after that, and after that, and after that, all the way till now. And I'll be surprised if you say, no, I have not been learning anything and not been improving, because you wouldn't be here. You would be erased if you didn't incrementally learn.
Mhm.
Because because you incrementally learn, because you got better, and we all get better. That's how evolution happens. Evolution means better, not degradation, right?
Right.
So you can't
So,
say something like what you're just saying, because it doesn't make mathematical sense, right?
right. And
Integration
so
goes from
and
less to more.
and Nikita says one thing that I want to point out. Yeah, I want you to continue with this money, but Nikita says,
Sure, sure.
well, I'm just lucky most of the time. And let me tell you one thing, guys. The thing that we call lucky, right, is just because we're so good at something that we don't know how we did that, right? So no, so then we call I'm lucky. Everyone around us says, "Man, you're so good at this, right? How do you do that?" And you say, "Oh, I'm just lucky." No, that's not the way it works, right? Uh, so that's yeah, lots of good people around me, and I'm stubborn as stone. So yeah, you keep doing it. So that's great, Nikita. That's exactly what
Yeah,
money talking about.
that's
You keep
that's
doing it.
perseverance and persistence, right?
Yes.
That's what you
I,
got to do for 9, 10 years, and you get a GitHub repository like that, and you want to keep continue for another 9, 10 years,
right.
right?
So
Perseverance and persistence is very, very important.
yeah, Nikita says, I'm good in finding non-standard solutions. Exactly, Nikita. So you're good at something. So you're not outdated. You're not inefficient, right? So you're good
Exactly.
at doing. So that's awesome. Okay. So Money, let's go to the next one here because we don't have a lot of time. So Caio says, guys, the big question today is how the developer can know when change the job, when he should change the job. Can open source and technologies help you in such a decision? How do you know when it's time to change your job?
Okay, I can tell you what happened to me 5 years ago, or maybe whenever I made progress to another role, is the moment you think that you're not growing, moment you think that the contributions that you're making to your team or to your company is not really making that difference that you would really like to make, the moment you're thinking that there are a lot of other things you can do that is beyond your scope of the current role, that's the time when you have outgrown your job. And then are many more other signs and signals you will get that will make you feel that when you get up in the morning every day, when you start work or go to work, even way before that, you need to be yearning to do that. And if you start feeling you're not doing that anymore, is that's the time a change is required. But that could also be another thing. You could be feeling all of that because you're burnt out,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there are these two things. You got to make a clear distinction which one it is. So don't think your burnt out session as your job quitting solution, right? That doesn't work, because you'll get yourself into deep trouble. So you got to figure out, are you overworked, or are you're not innovating in the way, or your ideas are not getting implemented in the way you want to happen, you're not growing and learning the way you want to grow, and all those things, right? That's when you start noticing redundancy and mundaneness in your daily tasks. When you get up in the morning and you don't have that enthusiasm to start your work, and when you try to finish your work, you don't want to stop. That's when you want to feel, you want to sense and see, have I really outgrown in this job,
Mm-hmm.
or is there more room for me here, or is there something else I can go and do somewhere else? And the grass may always look greener on the other side. That's the other thing you want to know, right? changing a job doesn't mean you got a better job after you left the old one. It could be you end up, worse off. So you need to have very strong reasons why you're moving from one job to the other. In my case, sometimes it was I liked the environment and the skills and the knowledge that was shared in a certain group of people in a certain company. And that was not happening in other jobs. So I would leave this job for another job. And a lot of times this could result in many different things. You could get a salary raise, or you could have to take a pay cut, because the new company that has got all these good things, they'll say, hey, you're learning here, you're growing here, you're expensive for us, we can't pay you high salary. You got to take a 20%, 30%, 40% cut. You got to think of all these things. So it's not easy said, 1, 2, 3, change the job. Oh, I'm bored. There are all these other factors. If you have responsibilities, you got to think of those things as well. So this is the different angles I wanted to add to this answer.
I just want to tell you, Money, that I don't like very much this idea that I'm going to get a pay cut to go to another company, right? So I don't like it. I understand the rationale. I understand that some people do it. But, if anyone is thinking about this, come talk to me to see the details, and then we see if that's necessary, right? There's ways to overcome that. But I love what Nikita just said here, right? So we need to understand, are we running from something, or are we chasing an opportunity? That's a very
that's point. A very good point. It's a very good point.
Yes, you don't want to change a job just because you're running from something, right? So one way I like to think this is that a lot of people when they're growing, you change jobs, for example, and every day is a new thing, right? Every day is something that you didn't know. Every day you grow, right? So you change job, you're like, woo, you start growing very fast, right? Then after some time, you plateau your growth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your growth slows down, and then it plateaus, right? So then it has some time that you feel you feel like everything you're doing, what you're doing, everything is great. And let me tell you one thing, guys. The plateau is not a bad place, right? The plateau is very comfortable, and the
stabilization.
Stabilization.
You're stable. So, that's why you're plateauing.
Right. So the plateau is a comfortable place, right? And it's not bad that you're in the plateau. Actually, the fact that you're in plateau, it just means that you grew enough that you reach a plateau, right? So that's a good thing. And many people will take that opportunity to do things, right? To travel, or to change cities, or to spend more time with their families, right? Because now job is not very demanding, all of that. The problem with the plateau is that if it stays there forever, never, for a long time, right? So, if you stay in the plateau for too long, right, then what happens is that then you start losing opportunities, then you stop growing, and then things start getting complicated. So for me, I agree with Money. A good moment for you to start thinking about, if that's a moment for me to change a job or not, is it's when you reach this plateau, and you don't want to be comfortable anymore, and you can't find a place inside your company to be uncomfortable, right? If you're the smartest person in the room, if you're the person that understands more about the project, if you're the person that understands more about the architecture, it is time for you to be looking at a place where you're not the top of the food chain again, right?
Absolutely.
So let me see here. I think there's a comment from Douglas here that we skipped. So Douglas said, the more I learn, the more I know how much I don't know.
Yeah.
That's right on, right? Okay,
yeah.
And then
that is a very humbling statement there, and I thought someone like Einstein or someone else among the great thinkers shared something similar.
Yes. Okay, cool. So now Glayton says that the whole lifestyle of we're making the whole lifestyle of people, right? So we're coding that, right? Yes, and that is a big responsibility, Glayton. But also, it's a reality that many times we develop things that we don't understand, right? And then we have to be humble to be able to talk with the people that do understand, right? So it's not because we're coding that we know how it works, right?
Mm-hmm.
A good example for me, I'm if you're Brazilian, Glayton, you I'm sure you use the income tax application that we all have to use, the Java version of the income tax application. I wrote that. I was part of the team that wrote the application, right? But the fact that I know how to write an application to submit the income tax does not know that I know how to submit an income tax, right? I do have an accountant, right? That's someone that really understands that to submit the income tax, because I myself don't know how to do this, right? And so so a lot of times we because we're coding it, we think that we know, and there's a big risk, because once you put it into code, then that's the way it's done, right? Because code doesn't evolve unless you go there and evolve it, right? And
Exactly.
so that's why the algorithms, for example, right, the social media algorithms and all those things kind of, they're coded in a way, and then sometimes they change the way we do things, and there's like all unintended consequences, right? So careful.
Totally.
We got to be
Yeah.
humble with that.
Exactly.
All right, so more questions here to receive. If you see any questions there, money, let me know. But
Sure. Yeah. Definitely.
so Mohammed says, I've heard that one project is about make all data types in Java will be object, right? Do you have any idea about that one?
I think it's the value types, if I'm not mistaken. It is still ongoing. I can't give any comments on it because it's an ongoing. I have not been following it as I used to be following it, and I think that also shows how much is out there and how much we are not in touch with.
Mhm.
So I'm an example of it as well. Not just many others who are complaining here about specialism and generalism.
Yeah, cool. All right, so
I think there's a question from Ciao Vinicius. He's saying, guys, the big question today is how the developer can know when.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
We've already covered that.
Yeah, we have to go cover that. We're way down here now. So Nikita has lots of comments, right? So that's a very good point, right? So Nikita says, when my employer asks me how they can help me with my heavy clinical depression, right? I asked them to allow me to pair program, right? And so they said, awesome, I'm gonna help you out, right? So I can grow where I am. This is a very, very good point. So guys, look, I'm not much of a soccer fan, right? But I do love the soccer player, right? Let me explain that. For me, the soccer player is the guy that he wears the shirt. I'm not sure you have that expression in England, Manny, but the soccer player, we say in Brazil, they wear the shirt, right? They wear the shirt.
You mean jersey?
They wear the jersey, right? So
jersey, yeah.
They wear the jersey of their team, right? So what does that mean, right? It means that you never see a soccer player saying, "Oh, you know what? Everyone played badly. I was the only one playing in the field, right? I'm working for a terrible team, or they're not paying me enough." You never hear a soccer player saying this, right? What do you hear them saying? "Oh, we tried.
We did bad. Yeah, we tried.
We did what we could, right? We worked together, blah, blah." So the soccer player, he wears the jersey, right? He wears the t-shirt, right, from his team until the day that he doesn't anymore, right? There was a famous soccer player here in Brazil the other day that he was like, "Yes, I was Vasco. I don't know what you know. I was that team since I was a kid. But now I moved to another team, and that's a great team too. I was fun of this team, right? So that's what they do, right? They wear the shirts from their own team until they're wearing the shirt for the next team. So
another team.
I think what Nikita just said here, right? I can grow where I am. Look, let me tell you one thing, guys. The only place you can grow is where you are, right? You can't grow where you're gonna go, right? You only can grow where you are. So grow where you are. And when you leave, keep growing where you are on the new place, right? That's my suggestion.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, yeah, I couldn't say it any better than what you've said, Bruno. Okay, there's a question from Muhammad here about as a person who loves programming, can someone keep programming whatever his age? So, how would you take that, Bruno? I think the answer is yes, right?
I've got good friends of mine, right? They're past retiring age, and they're still programming, right? So yeah, man. I think you look. The cool
Yeah,
thing about software development is that software development happens in the mind, right? So
exactly.
it's not about how old there are. Nikita says there are 80 years old developers, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely.
because basically, and they're quite cool, says Nikita, right? That's right, right? So because the fact is that you don't have to carry any heavy weights, right? You don't have to, you can work in an air conditioning place, right? So it's reasonable. I mean, it's a very hard job, right? It's very brain intensive. It's very tiring. I'm not saying it's easy, right? It's very hard, but at the same time, it is it's something that's not physical. There's no physical exertion, right? So yeah, you can keep working on it for a long time, right? There are doctors and writers that will write into the 90s and even beyond that, right? And so I see no reason. Software development is a creative activity. I see no
Absolutely.
reason that you cannot continue as long as you can, until at least your brain works, right?
Yeah. It is like anything else, like reading a book, painting, music. People do it all the way till their old ages. I mean,
Right.
there is
Yeah.
no time that all these, and as you said, software development is a creative activity. It's not mechanical. It's not physical.
All right. Cool. All right. So money.
Yeah,
We've been here for an hour, right? So that's what we're
absolutely.
gonna do. I have an hour conversation with you. So thank you everyone for all the great questions and
Thank you
comments on
all.
that. There's a couple of there's a polemical question here. All right. So yeah, Nikita says chess, karate, swimming. All these are people doing this. So polemic question: CTOs of big companies should or could steal code? I mean, from the cost of perspective, what's the more of this question? In a progressive career, you inevitably stop coding. All right, so I've got a good point about that one. Do you want to start, Manny?
Well, I think there's a company that's already doing that. I don't want to name them because I don't. I mean, I like them. I want to support them, but I don't want to name till I know it fully. But um, they are trying to make every department technical, every job technical, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have management now becoming technical, writing code, in your configuring systems, so they know. And I know normally you would have recruiters and recruitment people in the company trying to recruit people when they don't know the job, right? So now they're trying to change all of that, so people are technical and they know the roles that they're hiring because they have done it before. Imagine managing a team but you don't know what your team is doing. You have never done that. So bring coming back to this question, CTOs of big companies, I think, yeah, if given the time, they should all, because if business is making technical decisions without knowing how it's working down, all the way down to the coding tech stack, then how are they going to make sane decisions? Okay, I'm not going to be judgmental about the intelligence, and insult the intelligence of very many smart people who can make technical decisions without having to see the lines of code. But it would make better sense if they had an insight in at least looking at their code base and doing code reviews, even if they didn't write code, because that would give them an idea. Oh, sorry, we tried to sell this product to this company. Our code base doesn't have those features. We haven't built it. We cannot build it, or it's going to take X amount of time. So we got to go them and tell them we can't promise you anymore. So they will make better decisions if they continue to write code. I know people say, "What's the correlation?" I say there is a correlation.
Yeah, the one thing I think is that people say, for example, when you get out of university, right? You as a student, you imagine, oh yes, now that I'm gonna go to the market, I don't need to study anymore. And so what happens, right? You get your job and you keep studying, right? And so maybe you read books, for example, right? And then you get to a point you say, oh, it's inevitable that while your career grow, right, you're going to stop reading books. That's not true, right? So look,
No,
when you become a CTO, what happens is that you're going to have other responsibilities, right? And you're going to have to weight your responsibility to see which one is more worthwhile for you to get involved, right? And so for me, who has Ivan, right? So Ivan, for me, there's stopping coding, right? If that's something that you like to do, right? It's like, oh, because you're a CTO of a company, you have to stop playing guitar, or you're CTO of a company, you have to stop playing playing soccer on the weekend, right? No, or playing video games, right? Oh, because you're CTO of a company, you can't play video games with your kids anymore. No, anything that you want to do,
Yeah,
you got to continue doing no matter what, right? So for me,
absolutely.
it's a question about responsibility, right? So what I say to people that say, but Bruno, can I be a manager? I don't want to be a manager because I don't want to stop coding. I say, well, continue coding them and be a
Yeah,
manager, right? Be a CTO, be a director, be whatever you want and continue coding. But here's the thing, here's the catch. What happens? What happens if right in the middle of you're in the middle of your job, your day job, right? There is an emergency, right? Your system is down. Production is crashing, right? And so what do? You go fix it, right? So that's your code. The code that you wrote, you're the CTO of the company. You wrote that code and production is crashing, right? It's your responsibility because you wrote that code, right? Now, what happens if the same moment a person in your team is having a very, very difficult time, right? Are you going to fix the code or are you going to help the person?
Exactly.
Right?
People over.
If you're a developer, it's your responsibility to go fix the code. But if you're a manager, it's your responsibility to help the person, right? So for me, what I say is the following: Do you want to be a manager and still code? Do you want to be a CTO and still code? Just get out of the production, the critical path.
Right. Yeah.
Get out of the production code, right? So go code. Yes, go code proof of concept. Go experiment with technology. Go play with a framework that the team can learn later. Go build a tool that your team can use. Go do something.
Go to the R&D department.
Sorry?
Help the R&D department. Help the labs.
The R&D department. Something that if a person needs your help, you can immediately drop your coding and go help the person because that's your responsibility. Now, if you and that works the other way around too, right? So if you want to still be a developer but learn management skills, go manage something that's not important. I mean, not that's not important. It's not critical. So, for example, go manage the Christmas party of your company. Go manage the weekly technical meeting, right? Go manage something that if there is a week that there is a code problem, you can focus on the problem and drop the management, right? So it's all a question about what responsibility is the most important for you and which one you're gonna keep and you're gonna focus on when everything's crashing down.
That's excellent perspective, Bruno, because if you don't put all of these two together, you can never weigh and see what is right, what is wrong, and in what proportion you got to do, and how do you structure it so you do both and still do both of them well.
Yes. Nikita says, help move chairs at DevVox. Yes. Go help any way you can. Right.
Exactly.
Okay. So Mohammed says, I hope one day to be a very good programmer like you, like one of you, like very good programmer, like money, right?
Come on, Bruno. Bruno has written more code than I have written. He's contributed more to Java than I have. So hey, I don't get that credit.
All right. Okay, guys. So Money, thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Bruno. Thanks all.
So just for us to end this here, guys, let me tell you this. Our idea is that we're going to do this bi-weekly, right? So every other week, we're going to be here at the same time right now, having this conversation with you, right? So bring whatever question you have. If you're part of my main list, actually, can I give a gift for everyone? What about that?
Sure. While you give the gift, I have to say, you meant to say bi-monthly, because if you do bi-weekly, then we will be spending 8 times a month here, which I would love to do, but we'll need to find the time in the calendar. But it's bi-monthly, so twice a month.
That's right.
Well, we start twice a month. It could become 3 times a month. Who knows? If people like it, it may become 4 times a month. If we find the time, then we'll do 3 to 4 times a month. But 2 times a month is a good start.
Right. That's right. Okay. So since we're early in the year, right? It's still February, right? So I'm going to consider early in the year. Money. We had I did a workshop just a few weeks ago that I called the Best Developer Year workshop, right? And the whole idea of this workshop was to help people plan for the year, right? I think we're still in a good moment for us to plan our career, plan for the year. The workshop is gone, right? So we can't really do that right now. But what I'm gonna give, money's giving us some other. So I'm gonna use that next week, man.
Sure. Go on.
The one thing I want to tell you, all of you guys here, is that we have. I wrote this book here, the step-by-step plan for the best developer year. It's basically teaches you how to take the 4 steps to go from plan to action, right? So you can plan your developer year, right? So Mohammed said, one day I want to be a great developer. Start from here, Mohammed. It's a very, very short book that's just going to help you take action on your career, right? So the way to get this book for free, you come here, you put your name and email, you get the book for free. That's the URL right here on your screen, or the QR code. So you can get that book for free. And the reason I'm giving this book away, money, is the following. Guys, if you get this book, right? Let me put this here on the side here. So if you get this book right now, what happens? You're going to get on our communication channel. So you're going to be notified the next time me and Manny sit down here to have a conversation. So you can come here and join us, right? So Marcelo says, I got the ebook and it's great. Thanks a lot, Marcelo.
Wow, so thanks a lot, Marcelo.
Should be here. Okay, so thanks everyone. It's great to have to be here with all of you. Thanks a lot, Manny.
Thank you, Bruno. Thank you all for being here.
Yeah, it's Manny. It's amazing that we start this year doing this initiative together. I've been wanting to do an initiative with you for a long time, right? So I'm glad that we're going to do this year. So thanks very much. And thank everyone here. Say thanks, Ivan. He says thanks, gentlemen, for the conversations, right? I agree with you, Nikita. He says thanks for sharing the experience, guys. That's awesome. The black belts are the ones that are the white belts that don't quit, says Nikita. That's right, Nikita. Very good. Okay, guys. Thanks very much. Money with you.
Thank you very much. Take care, guys. And come back here again. Thank you very much for coming here with all the lovely questions. And thank you, Bruno, for having me here. As you said rightly, we started off the year, we kicked off the year with the right things. And I'm glad we're doing this, even though it's the beginning of February. It's great to do this. And actually, the Chinese New Year literally starts today.
Today.
Most people, cool. Yes, the 4th of February, because of the lunar transition. It starts today, not the 1st of February, but today. So that's see, we started the new year, which is the proper new year, not the Gregorian New Year, but the proper new year with this event. So thank you again for doing this.
That's good. Thanks everyone. Have a great rest of the day. And if
you
have any
guys.
Questions, send us an email, send us a Twitter, and we're gonna help you out with anything you need. Thanks a lot.
Lovely. Take care. See you. Bye.